Somewhere between 1979 and 1997, a palm-sized cassette turns into a secret language. You hear the deck door snap shut, smell warm dust from a bedroom stereo, and watch blue ink crowd a paper J card. A mixtape is music, sure. It is also a confession. Act 1. Setup. The cassette arrives long before romance claims it. Philips introduces the compact cassette in 1963 for dictation, and by the late 1970s, cheaper blanks from TDK, Maxell, and Memorex sit at drugstores and mall electronics counters. Home taping becomes ordinary, then personal. By 1979, the Sony Walkman changes the scale of listening. One person, one pair of foam headphones, one private soundtrack moving through a public street. In bedrooms, dual-cassette boomboxes from Sharp, Iowa, and Panasonic hum beside alarm clocks, while Top 40 radio rules the timing of teenage life. The world around that tape is stubbornly offline. If you want to say something difficult, you call a landline and hope a parent does not answer. If you want to share a song, you sit by the radio for hours. MTV launches in 1981, but access is uneven. The tape travels anyway. Here's the problem it solves. Teenagers need a way to signal taste, devotion, and nerve without saying everything out loud. A mixtape lets you speak sideways. Side A can flirt. Side B can apologize. The running order says things where mouth cannot manage in the school parking lot. There is also labor hidden inside it. You wait for the DJ to stop talking over the intro. You press record, a fraction too early, and catch static, too late, and lose the first snare hit. The effort becomes part of the message. Hold on to that detail. Act 2. Rise. Popular culture gives the mixtape its mythology, piece by piece. Nick Hornby's 1995 novel, High Fidelity, treats tape sequencing like a moral question. Cameron Crowe's 1989 film Say Anything puts Peter Gabriel over a boombox and fixes cassettes to courtship in the public imagination. Meanwhile, real teens build tapes from local radio. In Los Angeles, they wait on KIIS-FM. In New York, on Z100. In smaller towns, the same ritual happens beside a clock radio with a red LED display. Pause. Record. Stop. Scribble the title before you forget. Record stores feed the habit. Sam Goody, Musicland, Tower Records, and HMV sell blanks near the counter because the accessory is the culture. Maxell's famous Blown Away Guy ad, first seen in 1980, gives the cassette a swaggering image. Fidelity matters, so does attitude. By the late 1980s, the tape is everywhere because the hardware is everywhere. Dual-deck stereos make dubbing easy. Car stereos with cassette slots turn glove compartments into archives. The Walkman makes a gifted tape portable, private, repeatable. A letter can now loop for 45 minutes aside. Then comes the peak. In 1989, Cameron Crowe releases Say Anything, and the boombox soon becomes shorthand for romantic persistence. It is one image, but it lands because viewers already know the ritual. Songs are how feelings travel when plain speech feels impossible. In 1992, Singles adds another layer. Seattle is on magazine covers. Soundtracks sell millions. Alternative rock moves from college radio into malls and multiplexes, and mixtapes absorb the shift fast. One week, it is The Cure and Depeche Mode. Next week, it is Pearl Jam and Belly. The ritual is famous enough to be gently mocked and preserved at once. Rob Gordon in High Fidelity insists there are rules for a good compilation tape. Start strong, hold back, never blow your wad. It is funny because people recognize the stakes instantly. Act 3. Fall or twist. Here is the twist. The mixtape never dominates because cassette sound is best. Audiophiles know its limits. Tape hiss is real. Duping degrades fidelity. The culture grows because imperfection proves a human hand was there. Choosing songs and living with the tiny flaws. The legal panic around home taping shadows this era too. In 1981, the British phonographic industry launches the Home Taping is Killing Music campaign with a skull and crossbones logo. It is memorable, but selective. Record labels fear copying, while blank tape sales and boombox sales keep expanding. There is a gendered side people do not always say out loud. In teen magazines and advice columns, A mixtape often carries emotional work boys are not expected to speak directly. Yet girls make and decode them just as intensely, reading sequence, handwriting, and last track choices like evidence. The afterlife starts before the format dies. In 2000, Nick Hornby's novel becomes a film, and the mixtape speech survives into the CD burning era. But a burned disc writes too quickly. An MP3 folder, faster still. The older ritual loses friction, and with it some of its voltage. Still, the objects remain. Thrift stores fill with shoeboxes of Scotch-labeled cassettes. Estate sales offer tackle boxes packed with dubbed radio sets, road trip mixes, and breakup anthologies. A handwritten J-card can raise the price because strangers can feel the person in the pen pressure. Archives notice them too. The Library of Congress preserves recorded sound, but the intimate home mixtape usually stays outside formal institutions, living in attics and old carousels instead. That makes the surviving examples stranger and more revealing. They are cultural records that were never meant for historians. People who digitize old tapes hear details streaming services erase. The room tone before the song starts. The FM DJ stepping on the ending. The abrupt clunk where someone changed their mind. A perfect playlist hides its construction. A mixtape leaves fingerprints all over the tape path. And the love letter idea is not metaphor. In 2003, Paste magazine runs a piece literally titled Mixtape, the love letter of the 90s. The phrase sticks because it names what users already know. Sequencing songs for one person is a form of authorship with emotional risk attached. There are heartbreak rules as well. Track 1 can overplay confidence. Putting a breakup song too early can sabotage the whole gesture. Ending on a joke song can either save you or ruin you. Every compiler develops private superstitions, then pretends they are universal law. Now, watch the decade give itself away. A cassette forces time into the message. You cannot instantly drag a song higher in the order. You sit through it. You rewind with a pencil. You decide whether the hiss between tracks is acceptable. Care becomes audible because delay becomes audible. That is why the format lingers as a symbol long after market logic moves on. Guardians of the Galaxy uses the Awesome Mix as a plot device in 2014, and viewers immediately grasp its emotional charge. The object still reads as intimate, handmade, and slightly vulnerable. When people say they miss mixtapes, they rarely mean ferric oxide or Dolby noise reduction. They mean an older pace of disclosure. A person had to know enough about you to choose side 1, then risk embarrassment by handing it over in fluorescent school light. Act 3 closes on a quieter truth. The cassette becomes a love letter because it stores time as much as sound. 45 minutes per side. Thumbprints on clear plastic. Crossed out titles on a J-card. Affection leaves a physical trail, and the trail survives long after the crush does. So the forgotten part of cassette culture is not the hardware, it is the nerve. Somebody sat close to a stereo, watched the VU meters twitch, and tried to say something exact with the next song. Lock that memory in the vault, and I'll see you in the next case. Which one of these had you forgotten until just now?